Hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lesson, during which I'll be talking to you about the case studies I'll be using during this course to demonstrate the features of DynamoDB. So the first case study is WeatherStation Incorporated. WeatherStation Incorporated is a developer of an open source hardware and software platform for Internet of Things connected weather station devices. I'll be using this case study within some of the theory lessons of the course, where I'm not expecting students to follow along. I won't go into a super amount of detail with this case study. It's more a mechanism to provide some context to examples that I provide during the lessons. The major case study is Learning Online, and Learning Online is a large, high-volume, fictitious multinational education provider. A company that's responsible for the majority of the world's K-12 and professional education services. This case study will be used extensively throughout the demo and follow-along sections of the course. I'll also touch upon an example of an electoral system for recording large-scale voting events. This isn't a case study as such and will be used only briefly as an edge case to illustrate some advanced performance concepts. I'm a firm believer that real-world style scenarios really aid in the understanding of complex subjects. Both of the ones I've selected, especially the Learning Online case study, has been designed to show how DynamoDB deals with complex data models, and how these models can and will change over time as the requirements increase in complexity and your understanding of the product changes. With that said, let's jump in and I'll provide a little more detail around the case studies. And I'm going to start with WeatherStation Incorporated. So WeatherStation Incorporated is a global company headquartered in the UK. At a basic level, they provide open source Internet of Things connected modular weather stations. The focus is 4 streams in this space. Firstly, they design and maintain the hardware standard for the weather stations. This includes the Raspberry Pi hardware, interface breakouts allowing the connection of external modules, and the 3D designs for the weather station housing. And the weather station housing can range from cigarette box sized through to an outbuilding style walk-in unit. WeatherStation Incorporated are also the primary maintainer of the open source repository for the weather station software running on their hardware. There is outside community contribution, but the company maintains primary control. Next, they maintain hardware and software development kits for external feature modules, sensors such as rainfall, sunlight, UV levels, pressure, and others. There is a substantial community engagement and a thriving aftermarket in sensors for the platform, and WeatherStation Incorporated encourages this through a community-engaged approach. Lastly, WeatherStation Incorporated develop and host ClimateNet. ClimateNet is a cloud service for the ingestion of data produced by the weather stations and the attached sensors. The platform is open, allowing third-party adding and accessing of data, and individuals can choose to publish data from their weather stations to a crowd-sourced database, the aim of which is to map every square kilometre of the planet with a climate monitoring station and allowing public access for everyone. The weather stations have an inbuilt 3G or 4G radio and antenna. They also have a Wi-Fi module, an antenna, and a standard Ethernet port. Modules can be added to extend this capability with satellite, laser, and long-range microwave links. Weather stations can be used without ClimateNet, pushing data onto an on-premise system using many open-source IoT or message bus services, or alternatively REST APIs. ClimateNet is capable of using individual accounts with one or many attached weather stations, or company accounts can be created with many attached weather stations and an infinite number of logins which can be associated, and each can be provided with granular security controls. Each device has a unique ID, inbuilt GPS chip and antenna, and a real-time clock providing accurate timing. The system is capable of receiving updates to this via radio time signals or cellular. So at a high level, this is the architecture of the weather stations using ClimateNet. Individuals with one or more devices, or corporates with multiple devices, have their units associated with ClimateNet accounts. On a minute-by-minute basis, the IoT devices send summarizations of the last 60-second results, i.e. min, max and average, into ClimateNet over cellular, Ethernet, or an alternative connectivity option. The only mandatory data attributes are the weather station ID, which is unique to the hardware, and the current date and timestamp in UTC. Other data points which depend on the attached hardware are also sent, and this can include temperature, sunlight, wind speed, direction, pressure, pollen counts, or even UV levels. Anything which can be measured with a sensor can be delivered. A new system update has added a full suite of intrusion detection options for the larger installations. This can detect any animal or human presence in or near the unit. Additionally, a webcam can be attached, which provides a visual capture at the time of data submission and is proving popular with the consumer market. The system has been designed from scratch to use AWS services with a preference towards a serverless architecture. DynamoDB has been chosen as the database platform for this reason, together with its well-known scalability. This case study will be used to take students through the DynamoDB functionality and any limitations to be aware of from a data modeling or product-specific technical perspective. That's the end of this brief case study overview. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out directly or via the Cloud Guru forums. Otherwise, feel free to complete this lesson and move on to the next.